never gonna stop the puffin', not for nothing. The block, they need me, the streets, they need me. The club scene's easy's mine, believe me. You don't believe me? Can't be touched, can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked, can't be shook. We hot. When will you learn? Came to get crunk, came to bring life, came to get it started, came to get it right. Turn down the music, turn up my mic. When will you learn?
Beautiful Boston, Massachusetts, a great fight town. Legends have come out of here, and they love their fighting. That's where Team Combat League is tonight for their quarterfinal action. The Boston Butchers and the Atlanta Attack. I'm Bethel Duran alongside the one and only Bubba Jenkins. And when you look at what's going on in Boston, you have an opportunity for the Boston Butchers at home to advance to the semifinals, Bubba, against an Atlanta team they know very well. It's the playoffs for Team Combat League. Everything on the line. What do you want to see tonight?
Everything on the line. I want to see guys look like it's lose or go home. A lot of these guys have come out with a little soft beginning. Orlando started soft, made their way back in that middle round, but then they got blown out in the final rounds, right? You want to see each team come out like they got something to fight for.
Thanks to everybody watching us around the world. You're watching us on the BrawlPass and also on DAZN. So welcome to our DAZN listeners. Team Combat League. 24 rounds in the team concept. There's teams all over the United States, and they're working towards the way of the Mega Brawl #2, which will be in Los Angeles August 1st. A lot of money on the line, a lot of bragging rights on the line, and we've got to get through the playoffs. Earlier this evening, Los Angeles defeated Orlando. That means the LA Elite has moved on to the semifinals. The other bracket of the quarterfinals will take place on Sunday, the 21st, in Philadelphia, as the Philadelphia squad is the top seed. Tonight, it's Boston and Atlanta to break down this fight. Let's go to the one and only Brian Campbell.
Thank you so much, Beto. You can feel the intensity of the playoffs as the postseason breaks open tonight. Brian Campbell, Mike Parente, and do I need to introduce this man in the state of Massachusetts or anywhere boxing is? Irish Mickey Ward, the legend from nearby Lowell, Mass. But when it comes to Boston as a fight town, you can feel the energy in the air, Mickey.
Oh, 100%. Boston's a great fight town. There's been many gyms here. Back in the 70s and 60s and the 50s, it was huge. And it's still a fight town now today, but there's nothing like back in the 50s and 60s with Boston boxing.
Well, nothing like Team Combat League to bring the excitement and the great format. And speaking of that, Mike, it's the rule set, I believe, that really fuels the excitement of 24 one-round fights, one after another.
Well, this is amazing. Like Mickey said, you'll never replicate the days of yesteryear, but this is the closest thing you'll get to a new era of boxing. If you haven't been familiarized yet with Team Combat League, you are in for a real treat tonight. And as we talked about, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's Team Combat Boxing. 24 one-round fights, 3 minutes each round. At the end of the round, the judges score it. If there's a knockdown, it's a 10-8 round. If it goes to the cards, it's a 10-9 round. 2 knockdowns, it's a knockout, and the winning boxer gets that 10-7 edge. So what you have in the process is a lot of ebbs and flows throughout the night. A team may jump out to a 5 or 6 round lead, but they're never out of it. One knockdown or one knockout to get you right back in it. Now, keep in mind also, as far as the rules are concerned, if each fighter hits the canvas in a particular round, then it goes to the judges' cards. You take a look at how the breakdown works. You have 6 male weight classes starting at featherweight, going all the way up to heavyweight. And on the female side, you have 126 pounds and 147. It's an amazing concept, and it's been something that I think has really changed the landscape of professional and amateur boxing, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But like I mentioned, we start out with the launch rounds. Those are rounds 1 through 8. We take a short break. We get to the middle rounds, rounds 9 through 16, and then in the end, 17 through 24, it's the money rounds. It's where you make your money in the end, and a lot of times, Brian, you know this, and Mickey, if you've seen this before as well, this is sometimes where teams can make their last push toward the end, whether it's to distance themselves from the competition or possibly to climb back in it. Boston has taken advantage of that at one point this season. We'll talk about that too. But again, as we mentioned, the 10-9 score, if it goes all 3 minutes, 10-8 for a knockdown, 10-7 for a knockout. So many potential possibilities for ebbs and flows. it really makes for an intense, wild night of boxing.
I like to say with TCL, every fight matters, every round matters, sometimes every punch matters because the score can change so quickly. Mickey, you fought so many great 10 and 12-round fights. Legendary Wars, the trilogy with Arturo Gatti. How does the mindset change when you're on a team and you know you only have 3 minutes to deliver?
Right. It must be tough for these guys because being a professional, you're so used to like not starting out fast. You know, you're in a 10-round fighter or an 8-round fighter, or even a 6-round fighter. You don't start fast. You kind of just, you know, pick your punches at the beginning. Now it's all bang. You got to go out there and fight. So for me, I'd never be able to do this when I fought. But for these guys, or maybe some of the guys that are slow starters in their career, this may pick it up for them. So it might be great for them. Moving on for them.
Mickey, I love that you say, I wouldn't have been able to do this. You had an out punch. You had the left hook to the liver. I think some of these teams could use that.
Yeah, but I set it up, and it took me 7-8 rounds sometimes to land that. And I don't know if I was ever ahead after a round in a fight. So, but I think just gets guys that do start slow in fights. This will get these guys probably to start faster now. So maybe it's good for them.
Well, 12 teams in the TCL. This is season 2. 8 make the playoffs, and we opened up this evening with our first quarterfinal matchup. The LA Elite came in as the favorite against the Orlando Vipers, but it turned out to be ebb and flow, close throughout. LA built a big early lead, had a great start in the opening rounds. But what we ended up seeing was a power surge late, and this is Brian Leon of Los Angeles, an MVP candidate this season. He scored 2 victories, including a knockout. There you see Angel Hernandez of Orlando, who followed Leon's knockout with one of his own. And Mike, that's really the key to this when it comes to building momentum. You get a 10-7 round, that changes everything.
That's the beauty of it. You know, Orlando got off to a slow start. They climb back in it. All of a sudden, the score is even, and you're getting into the money rounds. And then Los Angeles starts to pull away. But before you know it, that 8-point lead turns to 5 with one quick knockout by Orlando. So Orlando trailed by 5 with 4 rounds to go. In theory, they had a shot to get back in this and could have tied. They could have pulled ahead and won. Another knockout here, another knockdown there. That's the beauty of the format, is you're never truly out of it, no matter what the scoreboard looks like. It just takes that one round, and Mickey, sometimes it just takes that one heavy-handed puncher to get you back in it.
And that's so true, is you can be behind a lot, like so many points, and you can get back like that with a knockdown, with a knockout, with a win.
There you go.
You just put those few of those together, and you're back in the game.
Is there something to the momentum when you watch your teammates score a knockout?
I think so. I think that when they're all sitting there rooting for you, I think it gets you all going, it gets you all pumped up. No, hopefully you don't get too pumped up. You know, but it's a one round. You got to get pumped up. You got to get out there and go. So it's like it's got to pump you up. You know what I mean?
Well, the Los Angeles Elite advanced to the semifinals. That will go down this Sunday, July 21st in Philadelphia, and you can watch that live on the TCL BrawlPass and live on DAZN. But let's talk about our second half of tonight's doubleheader. The Boston Butchers welcoming into their home gym here at the Boston Royale, the Atlanta Attack. And Atlanta was one of the better teams in season 1. In fact, they came out against Boston this year, and in an underdog role, really put it to them, Mike, and made a statement.
It's amazing. On May 11th, Atlanta had a big win, Atlanta had a big win, and it really wasn't even close. It was 228 to 217. It was probably the worst loss of the season for Boston, one of only 2 losses all year. But here's the thing about this, right? And this is what the TCL format does. You see rosters change over the course of time. So of the 15 rounds that Boston lost that night, fighters that accounted for 11 of them are no longer with the team. We have almost an entirely new roster. We've got some fighters for Boston that have come back into the lineup after having some time off, whether for knockouts or injuries or inactivity. So now Boston has taken the opportunity to put its best foot forward coming into this rematch. So there are some matchups that I think carried over from the first time, but you're looking at 2 almost entirely different lineups on both sides. Even Atlanta, Brian, has added some new fighters to the mix due to the playoff draft that we just witnessed. So there's some new talent coming in on both sides. Boston looking to avenge that loss, and they're going to have some of their heavy hitters here tonight to try to get that done.
And Atlanta can be hit or miss. Had that big win over Boston, has had some low moments here, but they're explosive, and in the TCL, it's all about who you are right now when it matters most. And Mickey, when it comes to rematches, and you've had a few in your career, some great ones as we mentioned with Arturo Gatti, how much do you want to change between fights? If you're Boston and you know Atlanta got the best of you the first time around, do you rip up the script and start all over, or does it go back to what you do best?
I think it's you rip it up and start over. Just start new, and like you said, they got some new guys on the roster. Start new, start fresh, and just stay positive. Just get out there and one round, you get out there, you gotta go.
Indeed.
It's like bang, you gotta go.
And Mike, when it comes to the idea of every point mattering, Atlanta's going to start this matchup against Boston down a bit, given our rule set based on the weigh-in. What happened?
Well, Atlanta had 2 fighters miss weight yesterday. One of those fighters accounted for 2 matchups. So now Boston has 3 10-9 rounds in the bank going into this from the start. However, they had 2 10-9 rounds going into the bank against New York in their season finale and still lost that. So I think this works 2 ways, guys. I think it can be a good thing you have that point in the bank, but what if it's a power puncher fighter who is now on the shelf and doesn't get to go in there and box? Maybe there's a knockout somewhere that you're leaving on the table because that fighter doesn't get to go. Rashidi Ellis is one of those fighters tonight who is only going to fight 1 time because of what happened at the weigh-in yesterday. So perhaps he's losing out on an opportunity to score a knockout or a knockdown. That's a 2 or 3 point swing that you're looking at. If this is a 1 point matchup in the end, you may look back on that tomorrow and say, you know what? We could have actually used those guys in the ring, not just taking the points from the forfeit.
And Mickey, Boston, their last regular season matchup that Mike mentioned, they were in there against New York, the defending champions, and they gave up a big lead, lost that matchup on a rally. So when it comes to the idea of fighting at home and the pressure on you to defend with your fans here, it can be a plus for sure, but there's sometimes a negative with that.
Yeah, it could be a negative with not the nerves, the pressure. The nerves, it depends on how they fight under pressure. And every guy that goes out there and girl goes out there, they just got to go out there and let it all go. They can't think about the pressure. They can't. They just got to be mentally strong and get out there and just let their hands go. Don't hold back. This is it. This is it. You got to go.
You got to go. No doubt about it. When we look at the matchups to watch this evening, as Boston and Atlanta get ready to throw down, I got circled on my card a middleweight bout. How about Amin Mitchell of Atlanta taking on the gentleman you mentioned, one of the best fighters we've seen this season, Speedy Rashidi Ellis. But there's Amin Mitchell. This guy can get down.
This guy can fight. You know, we know what to expect from Rashidi Ellis. Ellis has been, in my opinion, the MVP of the Boston Butchers. It's kind of neck and neck with Alejandro Paulino, who's also been excellent. But the thing about Rashidi Ellis to me is he's kind of like the closer of the team. When you need a big round down the stretch in the money rounds and you need him to come through, he has done that. He closed out week 1 for the Butchers against the DC Destroyers in Boston, and that was their inaugural matchup in TCL. And he's just been so good down the stretch. They don't call him Speedy for nothing. You know, he's got super fast hands. He goes out there. And Mickey, he's one of those guys who's a fast starter. So this format of only having 3 minutes to go in there and show what you can do, I think works perfectly for him. That's why you see what he's done this year.
100%. That's how he fights. He starts fast. He fights fast. Yeah. And he's so fast. His speed delivers his power. You know, and he has that. And he's never out of a fight or a round or whatever you want to call it. But I see big things for Rashidi today.
No question about it. And Amin Mitchell was a new addition to this Atlanta team, getting picked up by San Antonio, now thrown into the fire against one of the best fighters in Team Combat League, and that is the speedy one, the native of Massachusetts. And our own Beto Duran was able to catch up with Speedy Rashidi Ellis ahead of tonight's matchup.
Yeah, make sure you guys tuned in, man. Rashidi Ellis, Boston Butchers, we taking over.
So fighting at a middleweight limit, and down goes Grayton.
The right hand.
That's a big turn of events for the Butchers. If Michael Fox is able to knock out Rashidi Ellis, which right now seems like tough sledding as Ellis comes out firing, but if Fox were to get a knockout, it would even the score. However, it's Rashidi Ellis.
Boxing is an individual sport where Boston is on your chest or on your trunks. How cool is that for you?
Yeah, it's very cool. I feel like I'm in the Celtics or something, It's a good feeling.
But it's cool when you walk in as a team and all of you get announced and everybody walks in as one, representing Boston. How's that feel?
Yeah, because it feels amazing. Plus, it's people that I grew up with since we was kids, from the amateurs and people that still, train in the same gym. So it's just a good feeling.
Rashidi Ellis, 10-1 in the TCL this year. The only loss, by the way, it got a little careless, turned out to be a 10-8 round in the other direction. So we're going to need him to focus in tonight for Boston. Another matchup to watch is in that heavyweight division. Atlanta's Devin Young taking on Skylar Lacey of Boston. And Devin Young is a knockout artist, scoring 2 KOs, by the way, in Atlanta's upset of Boston. If you're Lacey, you got to be careful, Mike.
Well, this is big. These heavyweights, I'm circling both of these matchups on my schedule tonight. Devin Young, who's 8-0 this year for Atlanta, and Brandon Glanton at 4-1 taking on Cassius Chaney.
Sure.
Both fighters won 2 matchups in that May 11th showdown against Boston. However, keep in mind, the guys they beat aren't here anymore. Now they're facing Cassius Chaney for Brandon Glanton, and Devin Young gets Skylar Lacey, who was a mid-season addition to Boston's roster when they had some issues at heavyweight, and he's come through big time for the Butchers. So again, it's a rematch. We got all these matchups circled, but there's some different components on each side that really made this a toss-up tonight.
And speaking of a rematch, our third fight we are focused on this evening is in the welterweight division. You'll see these two fight twice. Atlanta's Ariele Davis will be taking on Boston's Amelia Moore. And oh, by the way, these two front runners for TCL's Rookie of the Year this season. Mickey, if you're going to fight somebody twice in 2 separate one-round bouts, what's the strategy? You go hard early, or are you just taking notes the first time around?
No, I would say go hard both times. Just this one, you got to let it go. This is the concept. Just 1 round, maybe 30 seconds, fill them out and let it go.
There it is. Boom. There it is. Speaking of Ariele Davis, our own Beto Duran caught up with her. Let's give it a listen.
July 17th. Atlanta versus Boston, but it's really Ariele versus Amelia. It's going to be action-packed. You don't want to miss it. This is the rematch of the season.
I remember I fought on his undercard years ago when he lost it.
1992 Olympian, Raul Marquez. Combat League, this is good. Ariele has a strong style. Atlanta attack with Ariele Davis throwing that right hand. Davis for Atlanta. Moore for Boston.
Right.
You've had some good battles with a fighter from Boston who you're going to see again. Amelia Moore.
Definitely.
And you know her from the amateur days.
Yeah, man, we going back and forth. 2018, she came out victorious in Utah. My first USA Nationals, lost on points. Came back that following year, 2019. I didn't lose a fight. I've been undefeated since then. And my last loss was just to her in TCL. So I beat her in the 2019 Golden Gloves Nationals. And I won the national tournament that year. And ever since then, I've been undefeated. So she won TCL round. Now I'm coming back to get my win back.
Will it be revenge or repeat? Boston versus Atlanta. Hey, guys, the time for talking just about over. Let's throw it to the ring. Jeremiah Gallegos.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on TCL BrawlPass and live around the world on DAZN. We welcome you to the Royale here in Boston, Massachusetts. This is Team Combat League, our quarterfinal feature attractions, the rematch here tonight. Tonight's bouts are sanctioned by the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission. Our referees in charge of the action tonight at the sound of the bell are Kevin Hope, Jackie Morrell, and Melissa Kelly. This TCL doubleheader is sponsored by Venom, Two Trees Distilling, and MeetBoston.com. And now, the moment has come. We are ready. Boston, are you ready? We introduce to you first, ladies and gentlemen, straight from the ATL, here is the Atlanta Attack. Atlanta is led by head coach Sam Arnold.
One of the cool features for Team Combat League is that they come in as a team. All of them together. Ariele Davis, Deidra Rhodes, Javon Woodard, Amin Mitchell, Devonte Williams. Coach Sam leading the way with the attitude and swagger. Coach Mustafa also. Atlanta Attack. A strong team all season long as they make their way to the Royale here in Boston. They know they're the underdog. They know they're on the road, and they don't care. This is a team to definitely keep an eye on.
And now, Beantown, USA, it's time to welcome your hometown team, the Boston Butchers. Boston are led by head coach Mark Gaccaro.
The hometown squad that's going to make some noise inside the Royale here in Boston. The Boston Butchers. They got a real good squad. They're our favorite, according to our Team Combat League expert panel. A slight edge to Boston. And they're at home. They should be feeling pretty good about themselves. They got the crowd and everything on their side. Alejandro Paulino, the man you got to watch out for, the veteran Rashidi Ellis. You see that swagger from the Butchers. It's the quarterfinals. Thanks for everybody watching on DAZN and also on the BrawlPass around the world. LA Elite has advanced to the semifinals. Who will advance between Boston and Atlanta? It's a rematch from earlier in the season. Oh, and the energy is picking up here at the Royale in Boston, Massachusetts.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask you to please remain standing and kindly remove your hats tonight as we honor the men and women of our U.S. Armed Forces. And a big round of applause for those who have served and are serving. Tonight, here to perform the United States National Anthem. Please welcome 15-year-old saxophone sensation. Here is Eddie B.
Quarterfinals are here in Boston. Boston already starts with an advantage. So Team Combat League is about 24 rounds. You have the initial 8, called the launch rounds. Then you have 8 middle rounds. And then in the money rounds, fighters are allowed to come back for the second time and fight in the money rounds. At the end of every single round, you will see on your screen an updated score. So before the next round even starts, you know where you stand. And when we get to the money rounds, you'll see some fighters going for the gusto when trying to get that 10-7 round. Now tonight, Boston already starts with a 3-round advantage.
Here we go to the last rounds.
2 fighters
First,
from Atlanta
in the
missed weight,
126
and 1 fighter was
division,
injured. So,
representing
in order
the
to accumulate the
Atlanta
24
attack,
rounds,
here is
Boston was given a
Javon
10-9 round. You'll have
and representing
10 points
the Boston Butchers, here is Iman Lee.
Jeremiah Gallegos introducing him, our great ring announcer for tonight. So Iman Lee and Javon Woodard are going to get going from the Royale in Boston. So already, Bubba, the launch rounds start with Boston up 10. We'll get there. It'll be in the 5th round when they add those points, so you'll see the difference there.
Yeah, so Atlanta's got to come out like they're down. You know, their guys didn't make weight. They were a little bit not professional, and now they got to show up to Boston and beat Boston, and that's going to take some run.
So Atlanta needs to come out super aggressive. They're a really, really good team.
Yeah, they got a lot of attitude and a lot of aggression, and they're going to come out trying to beat Boston at home in Boston.
And this is a rematch earlier in the year when they fought in Orlando, the neutral spot. And you can hear the shots, and we're sitting right next to the Atlanta squad, and they're going to be hoot and hollering all night long.
Yeah, they're a crowd that likes to get behind their fighter. One of the teams that likes to back up their other guys. Now, a lot of these boxers come in and they fight for themselves, but Atlanta, probably a close-knit team. You can hear a lot of their guys rooting for them and really getting behind their teammates.
Iman Lee in the silver for Boston, the Butchers. He's a 24-year-old out of New York.
Good right hook.
And he's taking on Javon Campbell. This is 6th round for Javon Campbell. Or Javon Woodard, I'm sorry. Atlanta with the beautiful gold and red trunks. And you want to get early. You want to get early rounds if you're Atlanta. If you're already down 10, Bubba, you know that.
Yeah, you got to get off early. You got to get started, and you got to start with the lead. You want to try that. Because we're here in Boston, the crowd is going to get behind them. People are going to start getting involved with the fight. So if you're Atlanta, start out early.
The 10-8 rounds are huge. If you get a 10-7 round, oh my goodness, everything switches up quick. Good action right away between Iman Lee and Javon Woodard.
A good 3-punch combination right there. Went high and low. Worked the body and came up over the ear.
And we will see these two going at it again in round 23 of the money rounds. So they're going to pick up where they left off later on the night. When everything's on the line, the winner advances to the semifinals. Woodard coming on as Lee with his back against the rope. And, well, I don't know why we're here. We'll just give the microphones to the Atlanta team behind
Yeah,
us.
they really are getting their guys involved, right? And it's good to see they really back the team. You know, it's a combat league, and they want to show that they are really here for each teammate.
Final seconds of the opening round. Quarterfinals in Boston. Atlanta attack. The Boston Butchers. The winner goes to the semis, and that's how you get it going on Team Combat League.
Good punches right here, going high and low. A lot of rips to the body by both of these individuals. Good boxing, good start of the rounds, good start of the fight night.
And all fight fans, here we go to round number 2 at 126. Representing the Atlanta attack, here is Deidra Rhodes. And representing the Boston Butchers, introducing Melanie Acosta. Ladies and gentlemen, your score, Boston takes the last round, 10-9.
So Iman Lee does enough to get the round for Boston, and they're on the board first. Women are going at it, and we are going to have 3-minute rounds for the ladies. Team Combat League has been advocating for it, and they get it. Deidra Rhodes making her TCL debut for Atlanta. She's coming out super aggressive.
Yeah, they came out ready to fight. I don't know if they're ready to box, but they came out ready to fight.
As Rhodes has one professional fight. She lost it earlier this year. Acosta, this is her 5th round in TCL. She's 3-0 with a knockout in professional ranks. And every fighter, when they fight for TCL, they become professionals. They lose their amateur status. So if you go to BoxRec, you will see a TCL tab there for you. Thanks to BoxRec Gray to make sure we have that. And the clash of heads, a nasty cut on the left eyebrow of Melanie Acosta.
Carlton Durley.
And the doctors are going to check that cut for Acosta. Doctors are looking, talking. And Costa's saying, I'm good, let's go. I love Costa's attitude. I'll talk to her a little bit.
Absolutely.
Talk about some moxie.
Yeah, tough little pit bull.
And she moves back Rose quickly.
Well, Rose had some good combos right there. These girls are after it.
Yeah, they're chucking, they're going at it. The crowd in Boston is loving it right away. Forget the technique. We're just going to throw it down here, Bubba Jenkins.
Yeah, we just want to fight. We want to get on. And that blood on her face is looking really, really bad.
It's on the left eyebrow for Costa. The women's in Team Combat League getting great exposure, great action, great work. And Deidra Rhodes just swings it.
A lot of underhooking and grabbing. Oh, good right hand right there.
And that extra minute is going to be huge for the ladies. You have a chance to steal the round.
Yeah, we're a part of this fight too. We got a little blood on the paper right here.
Yeah, Bubba.
We're getting in it.
Yeah, ringside, blood flying, obviously from the left eye of Costa. Less than a minute to go, and Costa's face is all bloody. She has a big smile on her face, Bubba.
Yes, and they got after it tonight. They came out ready to brawl and, give it all on the line. They're fighting like it's the playoff time.
A good one coming up next, Alejandro Paulino and Nicholas Sullivan. The ladies putting it on the show. It's only the 2nd round. We have 24 here in Team Combat League. Costa's a pit bull. She doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And so is Rhodes. You have 2 pit bulls going at each other.
Yeah, you gotta love this style, this type of clash. It's about who's stronger, who's more resilient, who can get those punches off a little faster.
Final seconds of what's been a fun, entertaining round between the ladies. Melanie Acosta, Deidra Rhodes. We'll see how the judges score this one. Flash
They both
gloves.
had a great time.
Yeah. And Acosta's still working the crowd.
Yeah, a lot of the offense was inside, a lot of the dirty boxing phone booth, getting it on. It was a good right hand right there. A lot of tying up. If they could get their balance, they'd be a lot better, but it was a really good and entertaining fight.
And now, fight fans, here we go to round number 3 at 135. Representing the Atlanta Attack, here is Nicholas Sullivan. And representing the Boston Butchers, Alejandro Paulino. Ladies and gentlemen, Boston takes the last round 10-9 for your score 2018 Boston.
So Melanie Acosta gets that round for Boston. It was a close one. And now this is a good one. Alejandro Paulino has been a star in TCL in season 2. Paulino 9-1, including a stoppage in TCL. He's fighting from Boston. He's in the silver trunks. He's got Dominican roots, and he's up against a good, solid fighter in Nicholas Sullivan, who I call this fight. He used to be signed to Golden Boy, Nicholas Sullivan. I call the fewest fights. And this is going to be rugged.
Yeah, Alejandro's doing a good job of getting Nicholas off of him and trying to punch out of it. That was a good job.
Yeah. Paulino, as a pro, is 17-0, 13 KOs. He's got some heavy hands. Paulino. Paulino lives in Connecticut, man. This young man has some talent, has some power, and he's been cruising through Team Combat League. He's got a good matchup with Nick Sullivan.
Yeah, Nick Sullivan does not look like he wants to be with the aggression that Alejandro's bringing.
Fighting at 135 pounds, and we will see Sullivan later on in the money rounds for...
Oh, good right hand.
Yeah. So Sullivan will come back in the money rounds for Atlanta. Paulino was scheduled to fight an opponent later in the money rounds who did not make weight. So we're only going to see Paulino once tonight, which in many ways is good for Atlanta because Paulino has that knockout power.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's very, very intelligent with the offense that he's going after. He's smart, going high, going low, throwing uppercuts and overhands. It's a beautiful offense he's threatening with. He's very pressurable. He's just all in his face. I mean, he really nowhere to go for the Atlanta fighter, and you can feel the pressure of just being a little bit too much for him.
Coming up next, the ladies, Ariele Davis and Amelia Moore. They're going to put on a show. So right now it's Alejandro Paulino having Nick Sullivan against the ropes. Sullivan gets off the ropes briefly. And there you see Paulino again. Pitbull attitude, does not get away from you, Bubba.
Yeah, he's all over him. And there isn't much that Sullivan can do. He's really just trying to run out of there. Oh, gosh.
Oh, big shot.
He's hurt. He's down.
Goes down. The fight is over. And Alejandro Paulino has knocked out Nick Sullivan. A big spot for the Boston Butchers. And Sullivan is arguing with the referee that there was no count. And Bubba, I'm not going to disagree with Sullivan. He's a veteran fighter. You might want to be able to give him an opportunity to give up.
Yeah, he was hurt and he got jumped on. I would say it's the referee seeing the last 2 minutes that had happened up to that point. You know, he got hit with a couple of punches. Let's look right here. He's on the rope. Body up top, and then I believe that right hook right there started it. Left hook right there, right hook over top. He's out on his feet right here. And he falls on his face.
But look, he's getting up right away. Maybe at least do a count.
Yeah, I could say it's a little bit of what the referee had seen already.
At least give him the count.
Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't a fighter who's ever fought before. Because it's big because instead of being a 10-8 round, it's now 10-7.
And we're not going to see him again.
And
Also,
all
Nick
fans,
Sullivan.
here we go, round number 4. At 147, representing the Atlanta Attack, here is Ariele Davis. And representing the Boston Butchers, Amelia Moore.
As I was saying, because Nick Sullivan was knocked out, he's no longer eligible to come back and fight in the money rounds, and he was scheduled to be in round 18. So that's another 10 points for Boston. Everything going the Butcher's way right now.
Yeah, Atlanta's in a big hole. Having started in the hole and having still being in the hole, they have to come out. A big, big, big down play.
All right, this is about as 50-50 a fight as it comes. They fought once this year. Moore won with a split decision. They're both Rookie of the Year candidates. So they're also fighting for an ability to win the Rookie of the Year award. And we will see them in round 24 of the money rounds. These two know each other from the amateur days. Ariele Davis for Atlanta was a college basketball player at the University of New Orleans. Amelia Moore went to the Naval Academy, was training in Colorado Springs at the Olympic facility. These two are standout athletes extraordinaire. I wouldn't be surprised if these two fight for a big title later on in their career.
Yeah, you gotta love seeing these girls trying to figure it out. On their eyes, you can see the intelligence, you know, them reading cues and getting body motion and language down and just trying to figure out their good offense. Good fight going on right now.
Yeah, this one, look, this is the one you're going to pay for when it's 10 rounds.
Absolutely.
Because these two are really, really talented.
And it's about making your opponent expose themselves offensively as you're countering or as you're stepping out or stepping in the way. These girls are definitely trying to confuse each other, and it's just a really good display of action.
And the fact that TCL gives them the 3 minutes to shine. They both advocated for it. They got it. Here they are.
Just missed that overhand right there was Atlanta.
Amelia Moore in the goal for Atlanta. Right hand lands for Moore. Less than a minute to go in the round. Like if you ask me, like, oh, who do you think's gonna win this round? I'm not even getting involved. Like I don't want anything to do with this one.
30 seconds left. It's still anybody's round.
Absolutely.
Good clean punches by Ariele right there.
And Atlanta needs points. Shot from Amelia Moore. Answered by Ariele Davis.
Yeah, I think
10 seconds, Bubba.
Yeah, I think Ariele Davis has been the more aggressive one, but she's got to be the one that wants to go get the points.
There's that shot. Is that enough to steal the round? And we'll see them again in round 24. And Ariel's looking at the judges like, that's my round. Still yelling at you, Bubba. She's yelling at you, not me.
Yeah, she felt like she won that round. She felt like she's getting her team hyped up. You know, they feel a little bit injustice, does Atlanta. They feel like they've given some of the points away to the other team that they deserve, and they want to make sure that they're speaking on it. She claimed that round. I'm not sure they're going to give it to her.
To round number 6 at 160, representing the Atlanta Attack. Here is Amin Mitchell. And representing the Boston Butchers, Mike Fontanez. Ladies and gentlemen, Boston takes the last round 10-9. And also, we move on to round 6 as Boston takes an automatic 10-9 in round number 5 for the total score. 50-43 Boston Butchers.
So Amelia Moore got the round, and Ariele Davis is livid right behind us.
Absolutely, and I believe the coaches from Atlanta are livid.
Yep.
They feel as though they're getting the points. They're getting a little bit of hometown treatment.
And round 5 is a 10-9 round for Boston. And it's all up to Amin Mitchell for Atlanta to try to get him on the board. Mitchell, strong fighter, going to the body of Mike Fontanez. Mitchell undefeated in TCL League action this year, 3-0. Me living in Atlanta. And you hear the Atlanta Attack behind us, Bubba, saying, knock him out, because they need it. They're down by 7.
Yeah, at this point, they got to bring out a lot of the big punches and try to go for broke. They're down by a lot. They're away. Boston's got their crowd involved, and it's just not going to be a good show if they don't get the high bigger, stronger punches involved.
And they got 2 rounds coming their way for Boston because Atlanta fighters did not qualify. One missing weight, another by injury, and also the big knockout of Nick Sullivan. He cannot fight in the money round. So everything on the side of the Boston Butchers right now. It's early, and Atlanta's desperate, Bubba.
Very much desperate. We're going to have to see them have big middle rounds and money rounds.
Fontanez, a 28-year-old from New Hampshire, the southpaw. He's 8-0 as a pro. 6th round for TCL action.
Good round here by Boston. I believe obviously Amin's the better fighter, and he's come out with Atlanta down in a hole looking to get some points, but Mike Fontanez has done a good job of staying in the middle, stall him a little bit.
Yeah, if you're Atlanta, you just want to start racking up some rounds any way possible. Fontanez countering. Fontanez feeling good.
Yeah, feeling good. Crowd's getting involved, as I said. He's making Amin miss.
Oh, the big swing and miss from Amin Mitchell.
He's feeling himself. He let his opponent start to get a little bit of a swag, start feeling himself.
Final seconds of round number 6. And Boston doing up. Did Atlanta doing up. And Fontanez closing it strong for Boston. Oh, he's feeling good.
Yeah, Boston's really hyped up.
They should be.
Here we go, fight fans. Round number 7 at 175, representing the Atlanta is Devonte Williams. And representing the Boston Butchers, Jordan Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, Boston takes the last round, 10-9 for your score. 60-52, Boston Butchers.
Oh man, it's getting late early for the Atlanta attack as they're down by 8. Butchers winning every round so far. Mouthpiece goes out of the mouth of Jordan Jackson for Boston. Big swings coming from Devonte Williams. You look like you're a team that is down by 8 points as the time is called to get the mouthpiece back in the mouth of Jordan Jackson.
Williams was swinging for the fences right there.
And Devonte Williams, he's 13-1 as a pro, has 6 KOs. He's been with the Atlanta Attack all season long. He's very seasoned in TCL. He has 22 rounds in TCL this year, does Devonte Williams. Meanwhile, Jordan Jackson has 5 rounds underneath his belt. Oh, big shot right away. And Jordan Jackson coming after him. Jackson born in Chicago, now representing the Boston Butchers. Cassius, Chaney, Brandon Glanton coming up to close out the launch rounds. And it's been a great set of launch rounds for the Boston Butchers. The winner to the semifinals.
Yeah, one thing that I was hearing Mikey Ward talk about, he's like, man, I don't think I've been able to do this because it takes me 6 or 7 rounds to set up some of those powerful punches that you guys see me known for and that I hurt people with. It takes me a little bit to set those up. A lot of times in these, TCL one round fights, you don't see a lot of guys set things up. You see them miss wildly and go for the big punch because you don't really get time to set it up. You maybe get a decoy and maybe a fake punch here and there, and then you got to really go for the punch you're after.
The Irish Mickey Ward, the legend, is sitting here ringside. And blood from the mouth of Jordan Jackson in the silver for Boston. As we approach a minute to go in the round number 7. The pace is slow down for these two.
Yeah, absolutely. Devonte stopped throwing his jab, even though he's coming over with a right hand. He stopped throwing punches, and he's really just looking for countering.
And we'll see them later in the money rounds in round 21.
And maybe you save a little bit, right? After you give them a minute and a half of that good work, and you may have won the round, and then maybe you melt it and you just download a little bit of information for the money rounds. So a little bit of a strategy in this that you have to have.
Atlanta has yet to win a round here in the launch round portion of Team Combat League. Thank you for watching us on the BrawlPass and on DAZN as Williams turns southpaw. 10 seconds to go in round number 7, and they're both with the haymakers and both swing and a miss.
Both swung and a miss, but
Man,
they wanted it.
this is fun. All right, Cassius, Chaney, and Brandon Glanton, that fight is off. That means the launch rounds have come to a conclusion. And once Jeremiah Gallegos gives us the scorecard, we will send it up to my man, Brian Campbell, who I finally met after all these years of being a fan of BC and his work, the morning work that he does. Or for me, it's our early morning on the West Coast. He's on the East Coast, but I love BC and what he's doing as we await to see what Boston has done. And Boston has been impressive here in the launch round. Bubba, a lot of energy from the Boston team.
Yeah, a lot of energy from the Boston team and a lot of complaining a little bit from the Atlanta team. They feel as though they have been given a little bit of the small end of the stick when it comes to the RBL Davis fight and a couple out of those rounds that they feel went their way. You know, there was never a countdown for the knockout that they got in that 4th or 5th round. So, yeah, I mean, on the 3rd round with Paulino. So, yeah, a little bit going the wrong way for Atlanta, but they still have the fighters and the punchers' chance to stay in this fight.
And if you're Boston, you love the way you're going. Just keep on building that momentum.
Ladies and gentlemen, Boston takes the last round, 10-9. An automatic 10-7 goes to the Atlanta attack in round number 8. For your current score, 77-71, Boston Butcher.
Okay, so let me give you the update. Round 7, Jordan Jackson wins for Boston. Round 8 was scheduled to be Cassius Chaney against Brandon Glanton. Chaney representing Boston, Glanton representing Atlanta. Cassius Chaney is unable to come out and fight round number 8, and that means Brandon Glanton and Atlanta get a 10-7 round. So at the end of the launch round, Boston 77, Atlanta 71. Let's go to our update desk where Brian Campbell has more.
Duran. Brian Campbell here alongside Mike Parenti, and look who stopped by, the president of Team Combat League, Dewey Cooper. Dewey, we always say anything can happen in TCL. If the launch rounds are any indicator, we saw knockouts, we saw people miss weight and lose, we saw an illness. Here we are, 77-71 for Boston.
Insane. The 8th round, the heavyweights, Cassius Chaney apparently got sick. He seen that action out there, and all of a sudden stomach turned and he couldn't step out. He started throwing up. He doesn't complete his round. You lose 10-7. Guys, Team Combat League is not the company where you're not gonna fight. Once the coach puts you on that roster and puts you in that round, you fight or you lose at 10-7.
Mike, this is a big turn for the Atlanta Attack, who had lost every single matchup, including the one in which they lost the point due to the weigh-in. But when they get a 10-7 turnaround with Cassius Chaney getting ill, Brandon Glanton scoring ultimately a knockout, how big is this on the turnaround entering the middle rounds?
It's the best case scenario for Atlanta at this point because they were just getting smoked and run out of the building over the first 7 rounds. I mean, you saw Alejandro Paulino get the big knockout victory over Nicholas Sullivan. Iman Lee, I thought, came up big against Javon Woodard. Woodard won 2 times against Boston in May, and so that you go halfway toward neutralizing that threat this time around. They're going to meet again later on tonight. But Boston, you couldn't ask for anything more. Melanie Acosta out there, blood trickling down her face.
Oh, yeah.
They're rallying behind her. They come out there, and it's all of a sudden 70 to 61 after 7 rounds. And now with the Cassius Chaney situation, this is an opportunity, Dewey, for Atlanta to creep back in it. When they start off the middle rounds, they get, I think, a decided edge in the first 2 fights. I think Randall Kennedy has the slight edge over Irvin Gonzalez, who struggled a bit this season in that format. And we saw Ariele Agriano, who made her debut against New York for Boston, lost twice, granted against 2 very veteran female fighters. However, that's where Atlanta has to start making hay right now in the middle rounds. They got to come out and they got to get up to a real quick start.
And Atlanta, they beat Boston before. Boston's motivated this time, but you haven't seen Devin Young, probably the leading MVP of the league. That's Atlanta's heavyweight. Devin Young, and the first time they fought, he's the first guy in Team Combat League history to knock both his opponents out and score 6 points. So he's fighting twice tonight. So this is far from over.
A true potential MVP candidate. We'll see what he can do. Mike, have you seen enough urgency from Atlanta? We were debating, sort of saying, when they come in 3 points down, maybe that leads a little fire in the belly. Have you seen enough of that?
I started to see it with Amin Mitchell against Mike Fontanez. I thought he came out swinging. You saw him start to launch and wind up for those haymakers. So I think you see it in small doses. When you fall behind early, that's when guys, I think, take it upon themselves to try to go out there, and I want to get a quick 10-7. It's like coming up and wanting to hit a grand slam when you're down 5 runs. Right, you want to do something big to get back in it. So I think they're making the attempt, but the momentum's just clearly in Boston's favor. Now, how that starts out in the middle rounds with the Cassius Chaney situation, we'll see. I think if you're Boston,